what we have learned, including through the Wall Street Journal, but also through sources I've talked to, is that Hamas and Hezbollah officials, Hezbollah being the Lebanese ally of the Iran regime, have acknowledged that since August they were planning this attack in coordination with Iran's Revolutionary Guards. The decision for that attack was made last Monday in Beirut. Now, the question would be, why would Iran sanction Hamas attacking Israel at this point? And that has to do with Saudi Arabia and Israel. Israel and Saudi Arabia have been talking about normalizing relations, about recognizing each other diplomatically. Iran is very concerned about that, feels that it would be isolated by this. So they sanction Hamas to do this, to disrupt those Israeli-Saudi talks, to put them on the back burner, as it were, which I think it will do in the short term. But I think in the longer term, this Iranian gamble will probably backfire.
We're getting some conflicting stories here, with Iran's mission to the United Nations saying that Tehran did not direct the attacks. US officials say they haven't seen evidence of Iran's involvement. What can you tell us about this?
First of all, that's what Iran's leadership would say. When, for example, they have supplied drones to Russia for the war in Ukraine for months, they say, oh, no, it's not us. So, take their denials, public denials, with a grain of salt. The Americans are being very cautious until they have confirmed intelligence, absolute rock solid intelligence. They will not make this accusation against Iran. But let me just put something out to your listeners. Remembering that the claim is that last Monday, Iran met with Hamas and Hezbollah in Beirut to confirm the attack. A day after that, on Tuesday, Iran's supreme leader, in a very high-profile speech, said to Arab countries, do not tie yourselves to Israel. Do not normalize relations with Israel. This is a dying Zionist state. So in other words, the public warnings by Iran to Arab states about any types of links with Israel could have been accompanied with the private discussions for Hamas to make this very visible sign of attack over the weekend. Now, Hamas has its own motives for attacking. It is not just a puppet of Tehran, but its interest converged with the Iranian regime on this occasion.
And what's Israel had to say about this and Iran's involvement?
Well, Israeli officials have said quite clearly that they believe that Iran is involved, that Iran has supported the Hamas attack. That being said, I think the Israeli security services are going to be very careful here. And that is that any direct attack on Iran, something which Prime Minister Netanyahu has proposed for more than a decade, any direct attack on Iran risks expanding this conflict, with Iran working with its supportive groups, its allies in Syria, in Lebanon, and Israel could face a multi-front war. That's something it does not want. So I expect Israel, while continuing to try to strike at Hamas, will hope to get international support politically and diplomatically to isolate Hamas within Palestine and to isolate the Iranian regime beyond it.
And Scott, the priority now is to stop the cycle of killing, protect civilians. There's very little hope of that happening anytime soon.
Well, we don't know. I mean, you can go back to 2008, 2009. That conflict lasted for about 6 weeks. You could talk about the fighting that took place in 2014. At this point, I do think what is different here is that Hamas has raised the stakes. Because, of course, they've not just fired rockets into Israel. There's a ground incursion in which they've carried out mass killings of civilians. I don't think they'll pull from that anytime soon. At the same time, Israel will want to try to strike Hamas's leadership, and they will kill civilians in Gaza doing so. So we're probably talking about what will have to be a sustained effort, including Australia, including countries in Europe, including other countries, to tell both sides it's time to pull back. And of course, the question is if we can get them to pull back, how do you make sure that this conflict does not renew? And for that, to be honest with you, I think it's going to require a change in leadership. It's going to require Hamas being pushed out of power in Palestine, and it's probably going to require Benjamin Netanyahu stepping down as prime minister in Israel.
Professor Scott Lucas, very interesting to talk. Thank you so much.
Thank you.